Dear colleagues, we continue our working day. The topic of the next briefing is government and immigrants. Is it possible to prevent social explosion? Please welcome an expert from the Donetsk Civic Organization Alliance, Natalia Kazionnova and Shchetinina. Good morning, dear colleagues. My name is Natalia Kazionnova. I'm an expert from the Alliance Donetsk Civic Organization. Thank you for finding this possibility of attending this briefing of ours. And I'd like moderators to make first brief video. The communities and volunteer organizations do whatever they can. The government institutions and the financial system have been inherited from the regime that was set up by mostly the east of the country. This is a short, brief quotation of the First Deputy Minister of Social Policy, Sergiy Bondarenko. Today we face time after time violations of rights of IDPs, which raises the question what the government is doing to protect the rights of IDPs. If we are to listen to the words of the First Deputy Minister, it might appear that IDPs are to blame themselves for finding themselves in that situation. It remains questionable whether this government official will really stand for the rights of IDP or ask his subordinates to do so. With the view of that, the Alliance Donetsk Civic Organization wants to state that based on the monitoring results, there are massive violations of IDPs by the government bodies. The monitoring was held in Dnipropetrovsk, Kharkiv, Lviv Oblast and the city of Kyiv, and it shows lack of efficiency of governmental support to IDPs. The monitoring surveyed printed and electronic media in the mentioned oblast, official websites of the executive authorities, of bodies of local self-government and oblast state administrations. We also scored the social network pages, and we checked for IDP communities on the Facebook, and we also carried out a short sociological survey. Besides, the monitoring was also about related requests sent by individuals to governmental institutions. That's from me, and I'd like to give the floor to an expert of our Alliance organization, Sergiy Bondarenko, to present the results of the monitoring. Thank you, dear colleagues, for attending this event. One of the objectives of the project was to monitor the mass media in the 5 regions of Ukraine, 5 oblasts of Ukraine, and we took as the basis the printed media, specifically governmental and local and oblast level. We could not monitor in the Donetsk and Luhansk oblast, given that these official publications are not published at the moment, but we try to look for the most popular mass media, and we also checked for the most rated and popular authoritative internet media, widely used not just in these 5 regions but also in Ukraine. Here are some of the results of our monitoring. Unfortunately, the topic of IDPs is not really popular with the media. According to our results, both electronic and printed media show just 1%, or to be more specific, 0.88% of their time to the topic. The materials on the IDP topic really does not exceed 1%. The topics covered mostly include social protection, everything related to a variety of social benefits, possibilities for IDP to get social welfare, some statistical data as to how many IDPs are located in a specific location. Then another most popular range of topics concern the employment possibilities for IDPs. Third topic concerns health protection matters. We saw little materials describing how IDPs could enjoy business development opportunities. The least popular topics were education, not only education possibilities for children, but also education seen as training for IDPs to let people somehow change their life prospects. But still, the lowmost priority was given to political rights of IDPs. At the time of monitoring, when we tried to look into a variety of movements aiming to provide political and voting rights, we saw little effect, but we hope it will become more relevant, more topical. Many of the materials were just reposts, republishings of something official already published elsewhere. There were little information made by journalists themselves, and unfortunately we see it even in those regions as Kharkov, Donetsk, Zaporizhia Oblast, the city of Kiev. Our recommendations are as follows: for civic society institutions dealing with this range of topics, we would recommend they become more efficient in terms of working with the media, helping journalists to highlight this range of topics. Given certain problems with getting to the official media, one of our recommendations is to the civic society, to relevant groups, to launch some resources of their own, given that they have possibilities to do it. And we would also like to ask the media to look deeper into these topics and to be more instrumental in helping people, not just to resolve their everyday petty problems, but in terms of the overall assistance to IDPs, given that many of them are ready to integrate into the community, their new communities, and information could play a nice role here. And finally, our recommendation to the central and government and local self-government, we would really like to see more information from them, because the only major source of information for IDPs remains social networks and some individual NGOs working in the area. Thank you.
And I'm going to say a few words. The next section of our monitoring was dedicated monitoring of the websites of the local governance bodies, the regional public administrations, and profile ministers and departments who deal with the problems of IDPs. You can see on this slide that the expert assessment of relations different regions are different in both the local governance bodies. This is the lower diagram, and the regional public administrations, they have different attitudes to the information regarding the IDPs, but the general conclusion is that the biggest problem is irregular updating of the information, the lack of the efficient feedback in providing information of formal nature. In other words, not the one which can practically help a person to resolve his or her urgent problems available today. There is no information about any regional or national programs pertaining to the, let's say, their job finding or resolving the problems of IDPs. Taken into the central, talking about central executive bodies, you can see that on the surface we can see the different assessment from the experts for the Minister of Social Policy. If you take the major source of this ministry, VPA-Org-UA, which started to work last year. For 1 year of its operation, they said practically has never been updated, so it contains a lot of the outdated information, non-operational hotlines, and many lines are represented by the urban telephone numbers, which work during working hours, while many people need that information after the work hours. And again, speaking about the prompt and the trustworthy information for those people on the part of the local governments, bodies, the national authorities, actually this information does not correspond to the requirements of the today. You can see that Dnipropetrovsk regional Soviet, they updated the information last time. Last year, in the winter time, and the Polish administration, they updated the information last September. If you're talking about the information associated with the IDPs, those regions are the most important for IDPs. In order to obtain the data which would be correlated, it would confirm one piece of information another. So this region was subdivided, this study was subdivided into, one was dedicated to people supporting the IDPs, and the other, the pages of the official authorities. We could not see the let's say, the classroom mates and the other networks. On the one hand, the Russian networks, and on the other hand, a lot of people visit those networks, and the number overwhelms, or let's say exceed the number of those who use Facebook. When you look at this slide, it represents the quantitative characteristic of subscribers. If we're talking about 1 month of monitoring, when monitoring was carried out, they, let's say, posted 115 topics related to this or another extent to the problems IDPs. On the other hand, the public, with sort of public information posted, was only 30. And again, if you're talking about the users, the major topic is the finding job or employment. This is most acute topic, which were very resonant today. If you look at the diagram, which reflects the topics of the information on the pages of the public authorities, the biggest percentage belongs to a different category, the information which indirectly deal with the problems of IDPs. General conclusion would be that in social networks, the public authorities are represented at a very low level. The information provided through the pages, through web pages, is formal. It's in the news format. It doesn't have any feedback. The officials do not command the information posted by the users of the social networks. They never answer any questions. If we take the community of the Facebook users who are IDPs themselves, they answer each other to some questions, and this is the information which really helps. On the other hand, the public authorities, the state authorities, do not establish the context. There is no feedback, as I mentioned, which actually makes it difficult to get the trustworthy information which badly needed by the IDPs. The floor is given to Anna Shchetinina. Good morning. I would like to offer to your attention the results of another part of our monitoring. My colleagues told you how the IDPs get the information. We carried out the monitoring regarding the information inquiries, using which we would like to know how the Ukraine legislation reflects the problems of IDPs and how those standards are fulfilled by the officials in the local governance bodies. We actually sent about more than 30 inquiries regarding getting or obtaining public information. Secretariat of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, the State Immigration Service, the Minister of Social Services, the Kharkov, Dnipropetrovsk, Donetsk, Lugansk, and Zaporizhia region, and Kyiv region were involved. Also, the cities of those, the central cities of those regions. Actually, we got the 210 written responses. Most of them were formal, not always they actually answered the direct questions formulated in our inquiries or requests. So based on the response, we arrived at the following conclusions. Next slide, please. Still next. This slide you see the nature and correlation of the obtained answers. The majority of the answers we received not from the representatives of the central authorities, but from the local governance bodies, the village and small town councils. We understood that they did not pay sufficient attention to ensuring the freedoms and rights of IDPs. Who actually violates those standards and norms, first of all? In our opinion, and this actually from the Cabinet Minister of Ukraine, so we sent them an inquiry and requested them to tell us how the legislative norm regarding the support and the immigration of IDPs is fulfilled. We also sent the inquiry to the Minister of Social Policy, and from the answer, we understood that such program hasn't been adopted yet or nor approved by the cabinet ministers, which means that the government of Ukraine doesn't have a clear policy regarding the resolution of the problems faced by the IDPs. Another conclusion which we made, the results of our polling, according to the law on freedom and the rights of the IDPs, is the creation of the single electronic database for the IDPs. We also send the IDPs to the Cabinet Ministers and the Social Policy Ministry. Today we received the official answer from the Minister of Social Policy to the fact that this database hasn't been developed yet. It's being tested now, and this is 9 months after the decision was passed, relevant decision. From our polling of the IDPs, we understand that there are still problems with the registration in the administration of social protection and social services. So each territorial administration at their discretion takes care of those issues. They required extra documents which are not provided for by the legislation. They demand some information papers and the different documents which are not provided for from and which can be obtained on territories left by the IDPs. So the single electronic database does not exist. This is also the violation of the legislation standards and norms. Also from the answers we obtained from the Immigration Service and the Minister of Social Policy, we understood that today they have not standardized the procedures to register IDPs. Those services do not have the procedures to allot plots of land and the house, and our experts analyzed 11 resolutions and directives of the Cabinet of Ministers adopted in 2014-2015. Most of those resolutions pertain to the procedure registration of the IDP. the social payments, different kind of assistance. In other words, temporary survival of the IDPs, and not a single resolution regarding the allotment of the plots of land or for the individual housing construction or housing, general speaking. Let's say the subsidies or material assistance to the IDPs who lost their dwellings and other problems encountered by IDPs. Also, what we heard, the information from First Deputy Minister of Social Policy, he said that the majority of the problems are taken by the volunteers. So we cannot see any kind of government support or the role of the government in supporting, providing help to those citizens.
Here are examples of how government authorities react to our appeals. We made some appeals to state administrations in oblasts, and those administrations, having no answers to our questions, would rechannel our appeals to rayon level administrations, and then they went to local councils. If we check for the statistics of our letters, we'll see 53% of answers we received from the lowest level of settlement councils. That is, top level administrations have no idea or information about housing possibilities and other problems that we have. And this is a clear violation of legislative norms, which stipulate that oblast state administrations should contribute and assist to find land plots for relocation of IDPs. Summarizing our monitoring results, I'd like to draw some conclusions, not really satisfactory for us. And they say that local governments see IDPs as temporary phenomenon and have no interest in their adaptation, and local officials are not involved in any resettlement relocation problems, and the government authorities really take no haste to come up with new programs of social adaptation of IDPs. This is a formalistic approach to IDPs and their problems, which grows the division lines and provides social tensions among the population. We'd really like to knock to the door of the government for them to hear our problems that become increasingly tense with every day. Thank you for your attention. Here are the results of our monitoring, and we are ready to take your questions. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, colleagues. Now we are ready to take questions from the journalists, if there are any. No questions so far, then let me do it from our center. The report of your monitoring, have you placed it online, or how can we access it? The results of the monitoring can be found on the website of our organization. You can freely go to the website and you will see the complete results of every sphere we monitored. Thank you, Anna, and thank you for